Fresh blueberries, 1 pint package, hot price $3.99. Fresh Purdue chicken thighs, just $1.99 per pound. Freshly baked hamburger or hot dog rolls, 8-pack, hot price $3.99. Kellogg's single serve breakfast cereal, 1.5 ounce cup, only $1.39. Arm & Hammer liquid laundry detergent, 50 ounce, hot price $5.70. All stores open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
You're watching Bermuda Tonight. It's Friday, the 6th of July. I'm Diane Brewer, and thank you for joining us tonight. The Shadow Minister of National Security, Michael Dunkley, has said an offer to the government from fintech firm Arbitrade is akin to a bribe. The company said last week it would give $1 million to help launch a fintech incubator space at the Park Place building, a move Mr. Dunkley says raises red flags. Mike Sharp reports.
The founder of the crypto exchange and coin company, Troy Hogg, reportedly offered a $1 million donation to the government to launch fintech incubator space at Park Place building. Mr. Dunkley said he has serious questions on this and hinted that it could smack of bribery.
Has the Premier or colleagues met with Arbitrade? Do they accept their proposals? Do they support their proposals? Who is a local partner on the ground? Has government given permission for the purchase of the $6.5 million building that they said during the press conference they were going to buy? Because obviously, that has to be approved through the Ministry of Finance, and the Minister of Finance has to sign off on that. So that press conference raised a lot of red flags. And Mike, let's face it, again for the record, we in the opposition, we support every initiative to try to improve our economy, try to bring opportunity and hope and jobs to Bermudians. But when you look at something like that, when you listen to something like that, you have just to say, wait a second, let's tighten up on these reins. Because until further clarity is provided on this situation, a lot of those comments that were said during that press conference would raise the flags up the pole that they might actually contravene the laws of Bermuda, specifically, potentially, the Bribery Act that was passed in 2016. And so I call on the Premier. He's been very prone to having photo ops and to talk about all that he's done, but they've been eerily silent on this one.
The former Premier was also concerned that Mr. Hogg and Arbitrade said they will make a $125,000 donation to the Family Center, Mirrors, and gang violence reduction.
This was like, Halloween on steroids, where people were just giving out candy without any accountability. While it might sound good, it raised red flags for me and my colleagues, and we're not going to sit by and not ask the questions and demand that government answer these going forward, because it's about all of us as we move forward. So I'm skeptical, very skeptical, that this is actually going to bear much fruit as it go forward. I'm worried for Bermudians.
I'm Mike Sharp with Bermuda Broadcasting News.
And Bermuda Broadcasting would like to stress that it has made repeated attempts over the last 24 hours to contact Arbitrade about Mr. Dunkley's remarks, but the company has failed to respond to our inquiries. The government has yet to say if it will consider the offer from Arbitrade. In other news tonight, we have evidence of the dangers faced by corrections officers as they perform their duties. Gary Moreno has been following the story, and tonight he gives us a look at some of the weapons and other items recovered by corrections officers, highlighting why they are so concerned about their safety inside the island's prisons.
This is the care package of sorts delivered by jet ski on Tuesday of this week to a resident or residents of the Westgate Correctional Facility. The contents include a cellular phone and charger, quantities of various controlled substances, cigarette wrapping paper, and 3 paring knives. And it doesn't stop there. This shank, fashioned from a toothbrush, was found by officers back on June 12th. Officers then discovered this piece of metal, which was also apparently being transformed into a shank 10 days later on June 2nd. And these 2 doozies, one meant for stabbing, the other for slashing, were recovered in a washroom ceiling at the prison on March 17th. And finally, this, quote, homemade cutter was found hidden behind a water fountain also at Westgate on March 24th. The discovery of these items by corrections staff would no doubt have averted situations which could have proven at the very least life-threatening for officers and the inmates in their charge alike. Remember, an officer was also injured by an inmate back in June. Our source at the Department of Corrections laments this is the inherent danger faced by corrections staff on a daily basis, and why they say they should not have to pay into the government health insurance fund, as doing so would mean less take-home pay. 15 new officers joined the ranks this week, and based on these images, it appears every one of them is needed. It was only yesterday that National Security Minister Wayne Keynes, who has responsibility for corrections, indicated efforts are underway to address security concerns within the local prisons. And a meeting to discuss these efforts is scheduled to take place with the Prisons Officers Association on July 16th. The minister recently expressed his disappointment that POA President Timothy Sion had not attended another meeting called previously to discuss the security threat situation. But according to our source, Mr. Sion was at the time attending a training course. Our source, however, could not reveal much by way of the joint police corrections plan to address the reported increase in contraband being brought into the prisons, but did indicate correction staff have stepped up intelligence gathering efforts in a bid to at least minimize, if not altogether, eliminate such activity. Gary Moreno, reporting for the Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Stay with us. We'll have more for you after this short break, including our weekend weather news.
Check out the great products at our $4 Depot stores. Party bags, candles, soaps, and a variety of health and beauty items, even candy. A number of kitchen items, aluminum baking pans, an assortment of socks in various sizes, even baby products. Your choice of items for only $2.50 each. Stop by any of our 4 stores today. The Dollar Depot, stretching your dollars further.
I didn't order this one. This is the wrong item.
What? These are the wrong size.
I wanted white pants for the white party.
These are way too big.
Oh my gosh, this is not what I ordered.
Finally in Bermuda, announcing Mailboxes Unlimited's Internet Return Hub. Now for an 85% savings. No matter how you brought your items into Bermuda, you can return your items back to the U.S. easily. Mailboxes Unlimited's Internet Return Hub. Stop by today.
Welcome back. Opposition leader Jean Atherton has stressed that she is a transitional leader of the One Bermuda Alliance Party. Her remarks come after signs of widespread dissatisfaction with her leadership. Speaking today outside Parliament, Mrs. Atherton said she is working towards sowing a new crop of up-and-coming talent within the party.
I'm the transitional leader. That's what I was elected for. I was elected to move this party into the space that says we will become the viable opposition. We will start to make sure that we are developing, increasing more people, the diversity, and making people understand that, you know, we are diverse and we're the party of opportunity. So I'm transitional. I think the only point that I sort of want to make people understand is that as we get more people into the party, it's going to be important for us to make sure that they get developed, that they're mentored, because we have to get to the stage where there's no longer any legacy parties. We have to just be the One Bermuda Alliance going forward. Everybody that's in this party must be persons committed to our goals and objectives and values, and that's what I have to transition to that.
And Nick Kemp and Andrew Simon's been described as strong party members, yet their positions they're no longer in positions such as senator. Your thoughts on that?
Senate isn't the only place, and I try to make everybody understand that there are many more roles to play in this party and in this country, and if people start to appreciate that wherever they go, they have an opportunity to be heard, to be spokespersons, to be out there telling people about why we are going to be the viable opposition that holds the government to account. I just want people to understand that many more opportunities.
Turning to weather now, and it's a lovely evening outside. Will the weekend stay beautiful? Here's our AccuWeather forecast.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
The BF&M Insurance Group is pleased to bring you tonight's AccuWeather forecast. I'm meteorologist Brittany Boyer, and it's been a beautiful day today. Tomorrow's looking very nice, but we have a lot to cover in this forecast as we have a couple of disturbances and even a hurricane that's far away from us, but we do have a disturbance that's to our south and west, and we've been talking about this pretty much every day this week, but there have been some changes with the outlook for this. Right now, the National Hurricane Center is giving this about a 70% chance of developing in the next 48 hours. We'll cover what exactly that means, and I'll let you know if it'll have any impacts to our weather here on the island. Temperatures right now on this Friday evening sitting in the low 80s, humidity in the mid 70s. Winds are coming in out of the south-southeast, 10 to 15 knots. The water temperature nice and warm at 82 degrees, and waves inside the reef around 1 foot. Waves outside of the reef right now running between 2 and 4 feet. We don't have any marine alerts to tell you about here, but in the coming days the water could be getting a little bit more choppy, so we'll have to see if there are any adjustments to the forecast. But kicking off your weekend, it's looking A-OK. Our low tide tonight coming in at 9:37, and high tide early tomorrow morning. And I mean early, before 4 a.m. So the forecast for tonight, it's a quiet one. If you have any plans for this evening, you're in good shape. 76 for the low temperature, clear to partly cloudy skies, and it will be breezy. Still a little bit breezy on your Saturday, but it's a nice start to the weekend. I hope you can get outside and enjoy it, because we will have more moisture moving into the area as we get into Sunday and also early next week. So let's talk about what we have going on right now. We have the storm system that's now at this point pretty close to the East Coast. Now, yesterday when I was talking to you, I told you that a frontal boundary was essentially going to take this out to sea, but look at our futurecast here as we head into Saturday and also Sunday. Models are showing that this might just stay here and strengthen, and that causes some concern because that will give it time to potentially strengthen into a named storm. So at this point, this is where we expect the development zone. You can see that it is far off to our west, so we shouldn't have any issues with that, but make sure you're staying up to date with the weather. As we go a little bit farther to our south here, this is our main game player right now. This is Hurricane Beryl. Winds at 80 miles per hour. This will have some impacts out into the Windward Islands and also out toward Puerto Rico, potentially even out toward Hispaniola, with heavy rainfall and also some damaging winds possible. In the East Coast, for tomorrow, we will see some better weather for cities like Toronto and also New York City, and for some of our islands, increasing moisture with showers and thunderstorms. So make sure you're staying with us here on ZBM. More showers as we head into early next week, and we'll have to watch that storm to our west.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
My name is Kevin Roberts. I'm a taxi driver / ambassador. My father's with BF&M, so am I. Half of my family always been seemed to be with Bermuda Fire Marine. I tried a different provider at one time, but I wasn't too happy with the competition. Because then it took too long to settle claims. They questioned every claim, and I never really had that problem with BF&M. I'm quite happy with it.
Body good and you're special to me. Wanna make you my lady officially. If I want thing, me hate a fern killer. Me no believe in a fern killer. Family, I me say family. Love me to the end, but none of them not close to me like the most high. Tell about cha-cha, cha-cha. None of them not close to me like the most high. Tell about cha-cha. Ain't no one can love you like I do. There is no one to love you like I do. Come on, lady. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? You feel like a bad man, keep it to yourself. Don't bring it to Jamaica, keep it to yourself.
Welcome back. Well, Hamilton has been ranked the most expensive city on the planet. A database company Numbeo surveyed locations across the world to come up with the rankings, producing a cost of living index that has the island's capital at the top. Jasmine Patterson reports.
It's been well documented that Bermuda ranks high among the most expensive places to live in the world. But an updated study confirms that our capital will empty your wallet faster than anywhere else. Online database Numbeo's latest statistics show that Hamilton has the highest prices when it comes to transport, food, and utilities. San Francisco, New York City, and Zurich, Switzerland place second, third, and fourth, respectively. We went to Front Street to ask whether people are surprised.
I would be very surprised that people thought it was the most expensive city. There's no taxes here. It's a nice place to shop, and, well, the weather's perfect.
Iceland is probably by far, because everything is imported there, it's extremely energy intense as well. But no, I think compared to even Louisiana, part of the United States, New York, LA, I mean, if you've ever heard about Rodeo Drive, California, I think they got you beat. But as to the economic impact, you're right, probably for the average person it is expensive. But no, but it's very lovely.
But the majority say Hamilton's high costs compared to other big cities is not a huge revelation.
Hamilton's been ranked the most expensive city in the world. Are you surprised by that?
No, I think it feels pretty expensive. I've been to more expensive places, but yeah, it's a pretty pricey place to be.
Where are those expensive jurisdictions?
Kind of all over the world. Europe is obviously very expensive. New York, Miami, very, very expensive.
So it doesn't surprise you?
No, not really. It seems like, from Front Street anyway, it seems like there's a lot of expensive stuff to buy, and the cost of doing business here is obviously very high.
If you take a look just on the forefront of Front Street, you can notice that most of these stores are high class. So that's indication right there that it is very expensive.
No, I'm not. Bermuda is very beautiful, but it is very expensive to live here.
Also, it's interesting to note Hamilton is home to the world's most expensive restaurants. But if you're fed up with spending extraordinary amounts of money to eat, drink, and shop, you may get more bang for your buck living in India. Thiruvananthapuram in the south of India was found to be the least expensive city on the list. Jasmine Patterson reporting for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Thanks, Jasmine. In other news, an icon of Bermudian radio, Kelly Zool, celebrates 55 years behind the microphone today. Mr. Gospel, as he's widely known, has been on air at ZFB and Bermuda Broadcasting since 1963, with no sign of him stopping anytime soon. He spoke to our reporter, Hal Davis.
It was the year Martin Luther King Jr. spoke in Washington.
I have a dream.
The year the killing of John F. Kennedy shocked the world.
This is a sad time for all people.
And in Bermuda, it was the year the PLP was founded and contested its first election. It was also the year one young man started out on a broadcasting career that would span 5.5 decades and counting. And even for Mr. Gospel, it wasn't all gospel to begin with.
Well, I was doing a sort of mixture of music. I did jazz, I did contemporary music. But I ended up in the morning, because I wanted to do gospel. That was my passion. So I said, what I'll do, I'll play 1 or 2 gospel selections before I finish my shift. And they became so popular that listeners called and said, Kelly, we need to hear some more gospel.
It was a passion that would see Kelly champion singers like the Reverend James Cleveland. And his work has given him the chance to meet many of his heroes.
Some of the highlights is meeting some of the gospel artists that I've been featuring down through the years. Mahalia Jackson, the Harmonizing Four, James Cleveland. He's my #1 gospel artist that I love, the late James Cleveland.
Recognition has come in many ways, from newspaper writers, gospel associations here and abroad, and even from the Queen, with the award of an MBE. Kelly says the secret to his longevity is adapting to the times.
Now you get the young people that enjoy what they call the contemporary type gospel, which has a different type beat altogether. And I feel that if you're going to reach the young people, then you have to go that direction. You can't just play all of the old gospel songs or the hymns, but you sort of mix it up a bit so you please your old listeners and you please your young listeners as well.
And even after 55 years, there are no plans for retirement, meaning it looks like Kelly will be delighting his fans for a long while yet. Howell Davis, Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Congratulations, Kelly. 55 years is quite an accomplishment. Well, still to come, are pubs the real winners when it comes to the World Cup? That story after the break.
You can count on us.
Sweet and juicy peaches, $2.49 per pound. Fresh assorted pork chops, $3.49 per pound. Lay's potato chips, 6.5-ounce bag, only $3.79. Crisco vegetable oil, 32-ounce bottle, only $4.29. Select varieties of Friendly's ice cream, 48-ounce, hot price, only $4.65. All stores open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
John Archibald Tucker, the father and grandfather of two of Bermuda's greatest cricketers, was laid to rest yesterday at the age of 96. His son John captained Bermuda's national team, while his grandson Gennaro is still known as Mr. Cupmatch. Mr. Tucker's brother Lee told us that his brother was also a good runner who coached some of Bermuda's best in years gone by.
My brother Archie, who has been known to be connected with the marathon running for many, many years. He ran his first race in 1944, and after that there he came out of the competing era and started coaching runners such as Ed Sherlock, Max Smith, Wycliffe Williams, who were some of the premier runners of that era. He worked with them, and then later on he came back to work with me. I came up and started competing, and Archie gave me assistance and etc. And where he went on to eventually become the oldest runner to complete the course on 24th of May. At 85 years old, 86 really, he ran his last race from Somerset to Hamilton. But he, up until this recent era, he was still very interested in running.
Yeah.
So that's where it is.
Yeah. No, he's the father of legendary cricketers.
Yes, he never played much of the team sports itself, but he was the father of John Tucker, who was former captain of Somerset, as well as Gennaro Tucker, who holds the record for the month of centuries, and Kwame Tucker, who's also a batsman, wicketkeeper for Somerset. Mm-hmm. So therefore, he's been connected with sport for many, many years.
Sure.
Spoiler alert, if you plan to watch our replays of today's World Cup games and you don't want to know the scores, press the mute button now. There were two thrilling matches today, with France beating Uruguay 2-0. More of an upset was the defeat of Brazil by Belgium, with the latter scoring two early goals, a lead Brazil couldn't quite claw back. Both those matches will be shown on ZBM Channel 7 at 8 p.m. Here now with the rest of the sporting headlines is our very own Earl Baisden.
Bermuda's Paralympian Jessica Lewis was back in action on day 2 of the Canadian Track and Field Championships.
Lewis, on her second day of competition, took to the track to compete in the women's 400-meter dash para-wheelchair race. Lewis would finish third in a time of 1:03.99, with Jessica Fontaine winning in 1:00.18. Bermuda CC Can Swimming Championship team arrived back at the LF Wade International Airport last evening. National coach Ben Smith was pleased with the overall team performance.
This was a team effort. You saw multiple people making finals. Each day we were striving to get as many people in finals as possible, which gives you an opportunity to do something in the finals. On one day we had 23 people make finals, which obviously is a big achievement for us, and Richard and I both were discussing that's the part that makes us proud, to know that as a team so many people were swimming fast and getting into finals.
The Validus B Pro Soccer Camp is well underway at Bernard Park. Under the guidance of David Bascom, the camp is celebrating its 28th year.
Well, 28 years is number one, right? The support is growing. The pieces that were added to the camp this year is working with the parents. We're really doing some pieces to get them to understand what winning looks like. What does winning look like when you're in a game? So we've been doing actually a couple of days of workshops as the little people on the field getting the training, really focus on giving them some tools. One of it was strategic planning for games and training, so it makes it easier for the little people to reflect. Last night we was really focusing on giving them a tool to understand personality traits and how it affects them as players and how they reflect and recover as young leaders or captains. So, but I tell you what, being here, it's a lot better than being in the U.S. with that heat. I mean, a nice cool breeze. I really enjoy coming to Bermuda. And, just thanks to Validus. Validus has been a great support. I really enjoyed it. The support's been awesome. This is 28 years. 28 years.
Bermuda young field hockey players as well as coaches are getting a taste of high-level coaching from members of Sportsway Hockey. Richard Desnayer explained what he feels Bermuda athletes are missing and the reason for the visit.
I've been all over the world already from out Sportways with joining kids in Africa, in Belgium, in France, in Spain, even Ireland, Zimbabwe, and now Bermuda and America as well. And compared to all those levels, they are competing against each other, but I think the most important thing is the discipline is there, the ambition is there, but they miss technique, and there's not enough development for the technique. So that's why we're here. From outsourced Sportways we are trying to develop the coaches, and besides only telling them what to do, we want to interact with them so they can develop the children.
Gillian Teixeira began competing in the Knock Hip Pack international horse jumping event in Belgium. Teixeira, competing in the 1.30 meter in two phases special class, finished 8th riding Amarula. The pair clocked a clear first phase time of 36.32, and then they would clock a clear second phase time of 32.48. Teixeira would finish 127th riding Gabbiano in the 1.40 meter table A against the clock class. They clocked a time of 69.42, but they had 4 penalty fault points. During the 1.45 meter in two phases class, Teixeira and Tamarino would finish 105th. They clocked a 12 penalty fault time of 53.47. Adam Hall and his Aberdeen Ironburg teammates, a Baltimore Orioles New York Penn League team, picked up a 2-1 win over the Brooklyn Cyclones. Hall had 4 at-bats with 1 hit and 2 strikeouts. Only 2 games were played in the latest round of the Bermuda Commercial Summer Softball League at the Michael Priest Softball Diamond, where a total of 56 runs crossed the plate. In the opener, Super Express defeated Deloitte 20-3, and the Docksiders defeated Scared Hitless 29-5.
I'm Earl Baisden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
Thanks, Earl. Well, as we've heard, the World Cup is already well underway, with fans of the remaining teams beginning to dream about victory in the final. But as Tony Waterman finds out, the biggest winners may well be the pubs.
For France and Belgium fans, there was plenty to cheer about. Both teams have now advanced to the World Cup semifinals. Dozens packed into Flanagan's Outback Sports Bar at 11 a.m. for the France-Uruguay game. Even more turned up for the Brazil-Belgium match. Flanagan's managing director, Chris Garland, says the games have been a boon for business.
We have quiet days in the business, but the World Cup clearly fills those voids. You know, the Monday to Thursday, which is generally quiet here. We've had extra staff on, great opportunities for people to make a little extra income, that's for sure.
As teams battle it out for football glory, global pubs, hotels, and retailers are already winning. The Centre for Retail Research in the UK estimates that British fans will spend an extra $3.5 billion if England makes it to the finals. In India, e-tailers like Snapdeal say they've seen a spike in sales for TVs, team jerseys, and footballs. The ones least likely to benefit are the host countries themselves. Russia says the World Cup will inject $31 billion into its sluggish economy, but experts disagree. Ratings agency Moody's says the positive impact will be short-lived. Then there are the white elephants, which are notoriously left in the wake of mega sporting events. Brazil's $550 million stadium for the 2014 World Cup is now a parking lot for city buses. The $600 million Cape Town Stadium for the 2010 tournament now hosts poorly attended local football games and the occasional concert. There was just one in 2017. Back in Bermuda, Chris Garland is gearing up for Saturday's big game between England and Sweden.
With England here tomorrow, we've got about 300 people booked to come in for the game. And if they win, I think next Wednesday at 3 o'clock they would play. We try not to be biased, but clearly at this stage we cheer for what's right for the business.
With just a handful of games left to this World Cup, football coming home to England could be the best result for this Irish pub. Tony Waterman for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
And that's our newscast on this Friday evening. Thanks for spending it with us. I'm Diane Brewer. Have a wonderful weekend. Good night.
The danger grows for those Thai children trapped in a cave. Why a rescue may have to be attempted soon, ready or not. The U.S. and China go